And welcome to this week is stupid for the 29th of September 2024. You guys should thank Ors for actually making me be on time, because without him, I'm usually late 5 or 10 minutes. Hey Ors, how's it going?
Hey, glad to be of service. And hello, chat.
Oh goodness, we got a lot of shit going on this week.
It's been quite a friggin' week, man.
Yeah. So I was actually wondering, is there a single community manager from a Western entertainment company, whether it's video games or TV shows, that's not a complete asshole? I'm not. I'm not even asking that they're vibing with the gaming community. I'm not even asking that they get it. I'm just asking: do you have a person that's not an utter asshole to the customer?
Yeah, like let's find a Venn diagram of community managers and then people who treat it as their own fiefdom, and I bet you the overlap's pretty heavy.
It is, isn't it? Like you were telling me that CEOs from various companies they actually share horror stories with community managers.
Yeah, they certainly do, and it doesn't even you don't have to go as high up as CEOs. It happens on the director and manager level too, man.
What do they say usually?
Usually they make fun of put it straight up, right? When you have the big, like the fireside chats or the community, the town center chats, a lot of them come up with suggestions that don't always make sense with the grain of business. And like it or not, the way that they release a little bit of steam is by vocalizing this crazy shit. And it happens usually when you're on these corporate retreats or out alone with the CEO in Vegas after the conventions are over and shit.
And what does he say? Like why do they hire these people if they're not happy with their work?
If I were to quote directly what was said to me, they did it because they had to, not because they had to. And the reason why they had to, and I'm using the air quotes because you can't see me behind a mic.
Yeah.
Had to doesn't mean they had to because that person filled a need that only they could fill. They had to because usually a quota is involved.
But like, can't they hire a different lady that's not mentally?
They certainly could, but we've gotten into this conversation before, where I tell you about how the perspective of human resources has changed in corporations over the last, I'd say 10ish years. It's a different process now getting hired, especially with I say public or digital facing positions.
Mm-hmm.
Right? There's a lot of ideology that's kind of baked into it now. So the entire approach to it from the HR side doesn't necessarily align with directorship and project management and the rest of that shit. Now, in some cases, of course, the disease, I consider it a disease because at the end of the day, it's like a living body. A corporation is a living body that becomes infected by this stuff, right? But when your leadership starts getting into the point where they're sacrificing productivity for ideology, right, the corporation is sick. Now,
Yes.
depending on how far that sickness goes, you might get a different approach to it entirely. Like the upper leadership, D-suite, C-suite, and stuff
I like
might
the
also be.
the Harley Davidson company.
Yeah, exactly, right. At some point, despite their obvious origins, they will still act against their own best interest just because of, just look at Bud Light,
No, so for those of you who don't
right?
know the Harley Davidson stuff, like the CEO was definitely believing in sustainability. Like you're a company that makes motorcycles that are iconic, and they're
Hmm.
like, oh, but like we're polluting, and polluting is not good for the planet, you guys. And it's like you're the CEO that's selling pollutants. What the fuck is wrong with you?
Yeah, it's like at one point or another, you can acknowledge the bad, and I'm using, I'm
Yeah.
using the term bad very loosely here, right? But you can acknowledge that your product does damage, but you can still use that product, right? You don't have to be a goddamn apologist, right? We're not
Yeah, no,
idiots.
it's
We
it's
know
kind of like
cars
no,
and shit
yeah, we,
burn
we talked
fuel.
about this and you posted it on Twitter. It was very smart. It's kind of like if you open a restaurant that's like
Yep.
something for barbecuing, right? Like it's the best barbecue restaurant, the best steakhouse in the city. And,
Hell yeah.
and then all of a sudden the next day you decided to become a vegan restaurant and you hire like someone that's like vegan is murder sorry like meat is murder type of activists, as the waiters.
Well, here's the fun part. You're like, these people aren't even changing their restaurants to be vegan.
Hmm.
They're just hiring a bunch of staff that are vegan enforced,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Yeah.
So you're still creating a steakhouse, only you're filling it with people who aren't interested in participating in the work of a steakhouse or the clientele of
Yeah,
a
that's a good
steakhouse.
point. Yeah, and all the focus, all the resources go on like lecturing the customer about veganism, putting the
Yeah,
decorum in the restaurant to be vegan friendly. And like none of the effort goes on like, okay, how can we improve the product we're actually serving? How can we make the customer feel more welcome? Like that's not what
exactly,
matters
man.
anymore.
Yeah, like instead of providing, it's like you go to one of these steakhouses to have a good meal, a good experience,
Yeah.
and hopefully you're not going to break your goddamn wallet at the same time. But it's like, imagine going into a nice steakhouse, you bring your wife, your kid, and all that. You all got dressed up, you have your reservations, you got you know you're going to get that goddamn 40-ounce porterhouse in your belly. It's going to be great. And then you sit the fuck down in the booth, and this person,
The soy face, yeah.
yeah, comes around and says, "Oh, what can I get you today?" "Oh, well, we're going to start off with like the Bordeaux, like a little Bordeaux on the side." "Oh, well, those Bordeaux are made by the French, and the French are colonialists of Algeria. Are you sure you want to have your wine with that?" And it's like, "Oh, all right, you guilt trip that shit." All the way up to the point where you're ordering your steak, and he's like, "Well, this is a steak, it has feelings. It can feel pain." It's like, "Oh, fuck, man, just give me my steak frites.
Yeah, and
Just
if
give
you
me my
disagree,
fucking
they kick you
porterhouse,
off the
man."
restaurant, and they also put a
Yeah.
microphone on your table because, like, we want to make sure that this table is environmental friendly. So, like,
Yeah,
if you
like
have any
you're not
conversations that
you're you're not
don't
having any uncomfortable conversations within earshot of our
yeah,
of our
no,
wait
they will
staff.
put a microphone on your table and they will say, "We want to listen in to what you're talking." Because, like, if you're having like any non-environmental conversations, then it goes against our restaurant's terms of service,
Yeah,
and we will have to
like
kick you out.
imagine going to a sports bar, sitting down with a bunch of friends, right, with big reservation. You're watching like the big football game or whatever the fuck, right? And suddenly you decide to start making fun of Ronaldo, and you make a crass joke, and suddenly the people at the bar kick you out because you
Yeah,
made a crass joke.
yeah.
Like, imagine if all of that shit was listened, how fast the clientele would thin out. It's the exact same shit that we're seeing Godot engine do right now. It makes no sense.
Yeah,
Acting
and as
directly against your user base.
one of the problems that American wokeness has, and I've been saying this, it's like a lot of these, stuff was like contained to American culture, but like what America doesn't understand that, for example, trans issue, right? Europe maybe, or like especially Eastern Europe, maybe at a 3 on trans
Hmm.
issues. America is on 11. And
Yeah.
if you want to sell your company, your product, and you want people from Eastern Europe to buy it, you cannot just dial everything up to 11 and expect it's going to be well received.
That's right. Like the higher you dial this shit, the more of your user base or the people that are involved, like the more of the core community that you're going to put out into the fringe,
Yeah,
right?
because I
You're
noticed that like a
excluding
lot of
these people by the
people,
volume.
a lot of people were tolerating woke stuff in games. It's like Baldur's Gate. Okay, well, all the companions are fucking each other. There's no more heteronormativity. They erased it. And people still buy the game, right? But when you start like, okay, we're going to have chest scars, cellulitis, and you're going to have skin disease and vitiligo, body type A. Like a lot of people are like, okay, this is too much even for me.
Yeah, body type A and body type B. Only you can't remove the clothes on body type B.
Raining Terror, thank you for the $2. Hello, Eagle. Hello, Misle. I think he's talking about you. Hi, Vianors. Hope you guys are doing good, says American Outlier. What's on the menu today? And did you like the Zara swimsuit? I love the Zara swimsuit. I will show
Yeah,
it to
damn
you
right,
as well.
man. Zara swimsuit looks good.
So okay, we didn't actually provide the context. So in case you haven't
Yeah.
seen what's happening on
We
Twitter,
kinda jumped right into it, right?
I will tell you, right? So, a couple of months ago, well, actually, before even that, a game engine, for those of you who are unaware, it's kind of like a video editor. It's kind of like Photoshop to make paintings. It's kind of like a video editor to make videos. It's kind of like an audio editor to make music, right? Like, it's the program that edits the game, basically. And back in the day, it was very expensive to make a video game because you had to create your own game engine. But now there's a lot of game engines that you can just use, and they're free. Well, kind of, but whatever. Like you have Unity, you got Unreal, you got Godot, you got like a lot of different engines, and people usually like pick one and they make their game using it. Now, Unity comes up and they have like this very bizarre practice where they're going to count the installs of people, and they're getting into this huge controversy regarding monetization, and a lot of people hate it. So they're like moving to other engines like Godot. And Godot notices like a big increase in the number of people that are using it. So they're like, okay, let's get our community manager to fuck with the customer. Now is the time. It's kind of like Bashar al-Assad in Syria. You know, he's winning the civil war, and then it's like, let's pump the gas now. Let's use siren attacks in order to get the Americans involved. It's kind of like that, right? Like, in the time where you have Bud Light getting boycotted, where you have Target getting boycotted, where you have like all of this controversy going on with Concord and other video games, and you notice that there is a shift in culture. Godot gets his community manager to say, you know what? We're actually a woke engine. So show us your woke games. Now, obviously, people were mocking her, and they were like, oh, I made the game where you can rob a gas station. Is this fucking woke? And the community manager starts just banning everyone, right? Like, starts banning people. The CEO panics. The CEO goes, it's like, oh, what are you guys doing? It's, I just want to make a game engine. I'm not political. People take the words of the CEO. This is where we're at, right? This is what happened this morning. People take the words of the CEO, shows it to the community manager, and gets banned. Like in other words, the community manager, if she could, she would ban the fucking CEO as well. It's like... Okay, so this chick is mad with power, right? She bans a person that was a platinum backer for the Godot engine. Like, the guy was paying money.
Titanium.
Yeah, titanium, yeah. Like, the guy was paying a monthly fee to fund the game engine. She's banning him. She's banning people that are saying, hey, instead of politics, maybe you can fix your engine. Because, like, look,
Hang on, V. It goes a lot worse than this. Right?
Oh.
All right.
Right.
Godot, right? Not only is this person paying to like about €100 a month, right, to be a titanium member, but these people, right, that are getting banned aren't just users of Godot. Godot is an open source engine, which means people can create their own forks and add and community patch, just like they do with Linux and Unix and shit like that, right?
Yeah.
So it's a group project, and these people are also getting their their Git or GIT, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah, they're getting banned from Git.
They're getting their projects deforked and basically deconsecrated from the GIT forks. That's fucked up, man. That means that they're in the process of cutting off their own arm out of sheer spite, because some of these people are doing nothing more than posting criticisms or just reposting the CEO's own words.
Yeah.
Like, at one point, the CEO has to sit down and say, okay, is the community manager actually representing our interests, or are they just an activist manager? And right now, the needle is bending way the fuck more towards activism than actual business here.
Ask me what woke is, Ors. Ask me what woke is.
Oh God, I don't know if I want to.
Ask me what woke is.
All right, V. Here's the $1,000 question. What, by your definition, is woke?
It's fucking cancer, Ors. It's fucking cancer. You know, like people go, it's like, the woke mind virus. I disagree with that statement. Because when you say virus, you're thinking of, you're having the sniffles and you're saying, but when you say cancer, it means something. When your doctor says, I think you have cancer, you're like, yeah. So what is cancer? It means
there's a growth that's been attached to you.
Like, what is cancer? Cancer is a corruption of data that keeps replicating and replicating and replicating, and it builds into a fucking tumor that kills the host. So when you have like a CEO going like, oh, what is going on in my company? You have cancer. You have cancer and it's attacking the customers. It's attacking your way of business. You will fucking die as a company unless you cut it out. You need to cut it out. That's the only possible way for your company to move forward. Do you know what's interesting?
The only way a company will survive this is if it has more than one revenue line and it can absorb the loss by subsidizing it. By basically subsidizing it with another revenue stream. Otherwise,
like, imagine this, right? You're paying a person. Listen. You're paying a person to work at your company, knowing it will do financial damage that you need to subsidize from another.
That's the whole thing. Having actually worked in positions where these guys, like these director and CEO level people, are coming in, or I shouldn't say CEO level, but C-suite level, right? Mm-hmm. When they hire these people, they're genuinely not hiring them because they think they're going to do this shit. They think that they have these people that they're being hired are generally being hired because of their credentials, because they air quotes represent the community. The only thing is that they believe that these people are actually the majority of the community when it's completely the goddamn opposite.
Do you think like it's changing from what we're seeing? Do you think like they're going to get the
Uh,
fucking memo that it's
well,
toxic now?
it's like the canoes already started getting shook. All right, there's enough companies that have fallen into the water and they're in the process of trying to swim their way back to the shore. That we're in the like in the logarithmic curve. There's going to be a curve where more and more of these things start basically either fizzling out or getting overturned. We're in the process of just the start of that reach of the upper curve, right? We saw the redress that's being happen right now at Tecmo. Tecmo is going to be releasing Team Ninja in this case is going to be apparently releasing a new fan service game. So we're already seeing a company that was very well known for this that had abandoned it, kind of going back into it. We're seeing other companies starting to get the picture, right? The whole catastrophe with Ubisoft has really put the peg on the board for a lot of people as well. So it's going to get worse before it gets better. The reason why it's going to get worse before it gets better is because any dying body will give its worst thrashes when it's wounded and dying and doesn't want to die, right? A cornered
So
beast.
this is like the Godot engine going like, nah, it's you guys that are to blame.
Oh, seriously, like take a look historically speaking, right? To like all of the like various movements we've had, like everything from fucking Anonymous to like the Xbox hacks or anything like that. The worst always happens just before the person either gets caught or the boot gets applied, right? It's always noisiest before everything goes quiet. We're at the point where it's just starting to get noisy.
Rating Terror, thank you for the $5. V, it was a typo. I meant male. Also, V, did you see Katya's swimsuit? She has a nice idle animation. No, this is.
You're talking about Snowbreak, man? Yeah, the wife Katya update? Holy God.
V, excuse me. Some crazy woman did what? Okay, just so you can understand what we're talking about, Ors.
What's up?
This community manager, I saw a picture of her.
You talking about the Godot community manager?
Yeah.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
Listen, okay, just it's going to be difficult to imagine, but like she shaved half her head.
Oh man, it's
why would you do that?
Neon paint on freshly fallen snow. That would be the impressionist painting.
Why would a woman shave, like willingly shave half her head? She's like a half skinhead.
I don't know. Maybe they're going for the ghost spider look. I don't fucking know, man. It's a hairstyle. Who cares?
Yeah, well, look, if I were to come to your house, right, and you have a parrot, and I'd
say it's more interesting how her Twitter icon is obviously a slimmed down version of her actual face and not her actual face. That's the thing that jumps out at me when I look at the profile. Right at like without all the colorful terminology in her bio, is why is her profile pic of herself and it's a modified version of her own, like her own face.
Yeah, but okay, listen, right. If I was to come to your house and I see that you have a parrot, and the parrot like plucked half of its feather, I would say that it's in distress.
Yeah. It generally speaking, if you see a cat with a bunch of patches, it's a cat under extreme self-imposed duress, or it's just straight up sick. Yeah.
Like I would come to your house and I would see that your cat is like morbidly obese to the point where it can't run properly. And it's like half of its fur is just like ripped off.
Yeah, that's abuse.
Yeah, I would say that's abuse. Yeah, and it's like that's like the community manager. That's the description of it, and I'm like, wow.
Well, I mean, what is it? Most symptoms. I mean, you went through the medical stuff, right? Most symptoms of disease are what, somatic, so they're visible.
It depends, yeah. But like you can usually diagnose a person just by seeing them like walking through the door.
Oh yeah, but I'm saying, if you're sick with something, there's a good chance you're going to have an outward symptom of some form. Yeah, well, here we are.
Well, she's definitely sick with the customers.
Well, whoever or whatever it is that's going on within that community manager's brain she's definitely got some unresolved issues that she needs or he needs, or however they identify, since we're going to be PC here. V, we're on YouTube after all.
Yeah.
But obviously whatever they identify with, they got to sit down and they got to separate themselves, right? Their own ego from that whole community manager bullshit, because right now they're in the process of torpedoing their own little community manager position.
Well, from what I saw, there are people supporting her, and they're saying it's
Oh, of
good
course,
that
there's
you're.
always.
Listen. It's good that you're cleaning up your community, and I'm thinking, wow, what a nice way to have a business oriented mindset.
Right?
It's like, wow, that's
Yeah, you go. You
go,
clean up
girl.
all that.
You tell those customer and platinum supporters what's what. You tell
Yeah,
those
you tell
fucking-
those people that are pointing out the obvious shortcomings of the engine, not your politics, and ban them because they're the ones that are paying you for being able to be a community manager.
Yeah, you tell
Like-
those chicken little shits that give you money what's what.
Yeah, like I don't think the community manager realizes that there's a very good chance that most, if not all, of whatever they're paying her, assuming she's not a volunteer, like God forbid she's a volunteer doing this kind of damage, but her salary, if she has one, is probably paid by those donations.
The damage must flow.
Yeah, because that's not a position that would be absolutely required. So if they're burning nonprofit money on hiring that kind of activism, that's that's against the best interests of the nonprofit.
So let me see if I can find the next one. All right, so apparently another fast food joint decided to do a Godot. JD Vance was there, and
Wait,
everyone inside, like their clientele, was excited, but they didn't allow JD Vance to go in. So like the clientele protested and walked out.
No fucking way. Where did this happen?
Hold on, let me see if I can find the actual video because it was on Twitter.
What did the staff of the restaurant just
like
say,
no, you see
poo-poo or
like
whatever?
you see the gravy seals, all of them walking around with their phones, like I can't believe that this is happening, and they're walking past another guy that can't believe that this is happening. So I'll play it for the chat,
Canceling their order.
and then we're going to talk about it. Let me just see if I can find a way to show this to the chat. I can. All right. So look here, bigots.
The manager went outside, told them they need to leave. They will call the police if he comes south.
Look how many people just hold their phones.
Unfortunately, he cannot come in. So what's going to happen is that they're going to take down our name,
Spectating
all
an event has become a
information, so the
completely different
next
thing.
time the kitchen crew's running out because everyone's canceling their orders. Everyone just canceled all the orders, and we're just paying for what we drank, and then everyone's leaving. But yes, unfortunately, Vance cannot come out of his car, cannot shake our hands because Primanti's
Yeah,
brothers.
it's like he doesn't. I'll wait to talk about this shit because it pisses me off.
You can talk now. I paused.
All right, well that's like I don't like that shit, right? That's a business. Unless that person was physically threatening people or like he was no shirt, no shoes, whatever minimum standard of service that you need. There's no reason for that business owner to say anything of the sort.
I mean,
about
you
who
can,
comes in.
right? Like you can choose not to. This happened in the UK as well.
But
Like
for
I
for no
saw.
fucking reason, they're a customer, man.
Yeah, no, hold on. I saw in the UK, there was this pub owner that didn't want to let Keir Starmer in, right? So like he kicked Keir Starmer
Oh
out.
yeah.
But like the difference is that he understands his clientele. Like no one from that pub was upset that Keir Starmer couldn't go in, right? Now, if you know that your clientele is either of a different political ideology than you, or there's 50-50, then just shut the fuck up. Don't take a side in it, right? Just because now what's happening is that everyone is review bombing this place and is getting like negative traction, negative PR. It's in the media. A lot of Trump supporters are refusing to go to this chain, and it's like you did it to yourself.
Yeah, with good reason. I mean, they literally poisoned the well for these people.
Like I don't think there would have been any backlash. It's like, okay, JD Vance came in a fast food joint, and like I don't think leftists would be like, oh well, he went into a McDonald's, we'll never go to McDonald's again because it's tainted. You know, like they wouldn't do that.
Look at the donut place that he went to. It's running perfectly fine. Ain't nobody canceling the fuck out of that place. Just because
You
he was
wouldn't
there.
even think about it, right? Like if I see, I don't know, someone I dislike, AOC, right? I see AOC going into a donut store. It's like I don't think about that donut store franchise. I'm like, oh,
No, you take a picture, you make a meme, you move the fuck on with your life.
Yeah, pretty much, right? So like, this is the reason I'm tying it to Godot is like this ideology of bringing politics into fast food. It's fucking mental. Like, what are you doing?
I don't know. I mean, usually, restaurants fight for every freaking client that's going to be arriving. Like, you usually have to go out of your way to either have good brand recognition, good word of mouth, or just straight up have a line of customers coming in order to just keep your business afloat. You usually don't want to do something that puts, like, the majority of your clientele. Like, look at that video.
Yeah,
everyone in there.
Yeah, everyone was there. But
yeah, I think there was like only
I'm
2 people that were still sitting in that booth in the back.
I'm trying to think, is it because I'm biased? Like, let's think the opposite, right? You got Kamala Harris going into a Starbucks, and the Starbucks owner tells her to fuck off, and all of the customers there, they're corporatists, they're with their laptops, and they're protesting, and they're going out to see Kamala. I would still think, like, that Starbucks owner is a moron. It's like, what are you doing? It's like, why do you even get political with this?
We disagree on a lot of political points, right?
Yeah.
And I'm telling you that it doesn't make any fucking sense.
It doesn't make any fucking sense, yeah. I think the guy regretted it as well. I think, like, after he realized...
Yeah, I mean, hindsight being 2020, his hero moment probably gonna turn to a testicle kick for his business. He's probably regretting it. He's gonna have to put out a mea culpa on Facebook or whatever the fuck.
Yeah. And it's different with the Keir Starmer thing, because, like, with Keir Starmer, again, that pub owner knew his clientele. Like, he knew, okay, well, working class
He was aware
lads,
of who was in house.
Yeah,
right?
It's like working class lads come here. Keir Starmer is representative of like the upper middle class elites. Like there's no overlap, right? Like no one is going to be upset that I'm kicking Keir Starmer from my bar. And it was right. Like he called it. But like this guy doesn't know his customers clearly. People keep asking me who is the guest every single fucking time, and I keep saying, but like they will keep asking.
Yep.
There will be a day when they won't ask, and they will know.
Yep, this is what happens when you have people with no experience that think they understand the world running businesses, man.
So
social
Ubisoft
media convinces them that they're invincible the moment they stand behind a social shield.
Worse. For those of you who don't know, I was talking to Wars one day, and I was like, you know what? Let's play a game, Wars. Let's play a multiplayer game. And he's like, no, I'm not going to play this because it's made by Ubisoft. And I'm like, oh fucking hell! It's
way, man.
Let's play Anno. No, I don't play Anno. It's made by Ubisoft.
Nope.
Okay.
I don't touch Ubisoft games, man. Fuck that shit.
Well, your boycott has finally worked. I'm looking at their stocks, and I can see that your boycott is paying off. Apparently.
I will outlast the company.
Yeah, like apparently you can stay disinterested longer than they can stay solvent. So, oh my god, where do we even begin with their fuck up? Should you buy the dip? That's my question.
No, don't buy the dip until okay. You want the story of what's actually going on in Ubisoft?
Well, yeah, but like first, let's set the pieces, right? Like let's explain to the chat what's happening. So,
but yeah, that's what I'm.
They managed to fuck it up with Star Wars Outlaws. Like that was the first fuck up. It didn't sell well. How did they say it? They said that it made lukewarm sales. It wasn't
lukewarm reception by the community.
Lukewarm reception. In other words, translating from corpo speak to actual thing is like we're fucked. Yeah. I mean, let me show you the chart, chat. Let me show you the chart. Like
that's CEO talk for we kind of fumbled.
Yeah, I'm not a financial expert, chat, but this doesn't look good. Like line goes down is probably not good.
I don't know if you're showing anything. It's gonna be delayed on my screen.
Yeah. It's line goes down. So now it's at €9. It's probably less because this one is from a couple of days ago.
Yep.
I don't think they managed to regain investor confidence.
It was when I quoted that when it was at 9:30 or something like that. It dipped above 10:15 for a little while, but it's about the same right now.
Yeah. Anyway, right. So they fucked up with Star Wars Outlaws.
Yes.
They fucked up with Assassin's Creed XO. Apparently, like okay, so they have a team of experts, right? Like smarter than yours. Like these are people that studied all their life about Japanese culture, and they have their pulse on that culture to make sure that nothing is offensive. So they release a little action figure with a 1-foot Torigate. Now the thing is, even I know about this, and almost every person that's passionate about World War II probably knows that the only 1-foot Torigate in history is the one that survived the Nagasaki atomic bomb. For Japanese people, This is as disrespectful as trying to appease to American culture by showing the twin buildings. It's like, it's pretty much in the same fucking area, you know? Like, very poor
very
taste.
Insensitive. Yeah,
Yeah,
very
it's kind of like
insensitive.
that cross in the memorial of 9/11, right? Like, it looks in a specific way. Imagine, like, you're making a toy out of it, and you're trying to sell it, right? Probably not a good look. So, apparently, by talking with the Japanese people that I speak with, on their Twitter, it's considered to be a traitor to your people if you buy this game.
Yeah.
I don't know if they say it in joke or if they literally believe it. But the pre-orders are at an all-time low.
Yeah, you know me, V. I have a lot of people in Japan that I hang out with, that I've met with, and even people in the industry I've worked with, and it's not being well received, to the point that even before we start talking about what is actually going on in Ubisoft in the background, they took their game, Assassin's Creed, which is usually like it's a flagship product for Ubisoft.
Yeah.
Right? When they launch this, other games typically launch around that game because there's going to be hype
Yeah.
around the launch of that game. You don't launch at the same time, but a little bit before,
Yeah,
a
you
little
launch
bit
later,
after.
yeah. Like,
There's an
get
entire
people,
strategy around it.
Get people
Now-
to have a taste going for it. Yeah.
Yeah, so these guys are straight up submitting, and they're moving their release date forward to be closer to Ghost of Yote.
No, I think people are saying on Twitter is to be close to Black History Month.
Oh, that could also be true. But get this, but the whole moving of these products, right? Because if you take a look with the whole moving of Assassin's Creed, there's a bunch of other things that happen in the background, like a lot of very suspicious communications that were released about a various number of their products that were going out to their shareholders. Because in the background, there's a kind of like a fist fight. There's a little melee that broke out with a new group that bought into the big Ubisoft like pile of shares. There's a new group that bought in out of fucking nowhere, and the moment that they bought in, they only lasted about maybe a week or two before they started putting out these documents to say, hey, it's time to get the French family out of that goddamn like business right now. And these guys are brand new. And all of a sudden, after this demand started getting tabled, the share plummeted, and now someone is buying on the dip. So there's an actual, and I'm just saying this out of complete speculation since it's financial information and I'm not a financial expert, there's likely a good chance that whoever it is that is causing the disruption is buying into the dip to deepen their foothold and to try to shake up what's going on in Ubisoft. Because if you take a look at what they're proposing the same shit that all of these other companies that went through, 5 months ago, there was a huge amount of layoffs that started that basically targeted the ideological positions, right? There was a big rake that passed right off the top. That's what they're trying to propose to the new Ubisoft leadership that would be in place if this takeover actually happens. Yeah. They're going to basically go in and shut down all of the non-performing studios and lean in and lighten the load of their overheads so that they have a better runway. Because right now, with the amount of money that they lost like something like 45 to 50% of their entire fucking market cap in the process of 6 months. That's crippling. They're lucky they still have the capability of paying their salaries.
So Zanif asked if Ubisoft is going to pay any VTubers to play their latest Assassin's Creed. They don't care about VTubers or not. They just target big streamers, right? So like if
they're definitely eight of the top 10 streamers right now are VTubers. They're definitely going to pay.
Yeah. And usually, this is usually done through corporations. So like they will talk to Hololive, they will talk to Vishoja. They'll be like, please play our game. Please say it's good. And usually, what they do is
top 3 or top 4 that basically fit that niche, and they'll fit them in.
Sure. They will be like, hey, if someone watches your stream for like 5 hours, they get a beta key or some shit. Like they have stuff like that planned. So, but yeah, like the top streamers on Twitch are VTubers. It is what it is. We was landed nobles and shit coming on Adana Bagumba's booty February 2025. Well, yeah, like the thing with Ubisoft, right? The genre,
It was landed nobles and shit. I fucking love that.
the thing with Ubisoft is that they prided themselves on historical accuracy. Like, this is not just a fictional game. Like, they said, no, we hired a team of historians. And I want to say, chat, you know, when I was growing up as a wee lad, I actually got into history because of these games. Like, you would play Total War Rome, and you would read the lore, which was written by actual historians. Or you would play Assassin's Creed, and you would read some of the lore about the Pope and shit like that, which was accurate. And it would make you curious. You'd actually open a history book, right? So they went from we didn't want to add a crossbow in the game because it wouldn't have been historical accuracy even if it was cool. They went to, we added on this Greek vase a teacher lecturing a girl and a boy, and even though we know that didn't happen in ancient Greece, we wanted to be inclusive. Or they will take a character that in the real world apparently was a woman, but she was pretending to be a man in order to be able to do business in UK. Like, she was like a trade tycoon or something like that. And they're like, oh no, she's trans, you guys. The first ever transgender. And it's like, okay, we can see what you're doing. The thing is, like, they will say, oh, but you have a pope that does magic. And it's like, yeah, that's the fantasy element. Like, the whole purpose of the game was like, let's keep the history that's written, but, like, we can complete some of the missing pieces with fantasy elements. And people are aware about the fantasy, but if you actually read about that Pope in the game's lore, in the codex, it would actually inform you about the historical character and actual things that the historical character did. Yeah, that's not the case anymore.
Yeah, the entire point, or I should say the entire, like, premise behind the Assassin's Creed before was that they were not necessarily accurate recreations, right? They're doing this genetic weird shit to get into your memories and all that. But even outside of that, they never claimed that the previous games were meant to be historically accurate, just that the period piece would be accurate. But when they started describing Shadows, they led in saying this is going to be the most historically accurate of our Assassin's Creed games.
Did they say that? I must have missed
that was one of the first arguments that they put out. Our most historically accurate game so far was I'm losing the verbatim of it, but they led in saying that this Kuso is basically going in and like it's going to be authentic fucking Michelin star Assassin's Creed like it used to be. I say this to someone.
Would you say that the Japanese would consider Assassin's Creed to be a Kuso game?
Well, I mean, I don't know if you've seen the way that they've been receiving it, but most of them don't exactly see this as a quadruple A product.
So for those of you who don't know, Japanese people have like a designation for Kuso games. Kuso games means shit game.
Shit game, yeah.
Shit game. Yeah, but there's like an entire culture around Kuso games though. Like there are Kuso
games There are Kuso games that are like Kuso games and you play it because they're Kuso. And then you have Forspoken and Concord, right? That's a different entire species of Kuso game.
No, Kuso games I think like are usually like games made by indie devs that have like a lot of love and passion in it, but like it's an incomplete game. Like it's not finished. It's got like some bugs.
Even if it's incomplete, right? The overall game is not necessarily meant to be a usual game experience. Like one of the West's most popular Kuso games is I Want to Be the Guy.
Huh?
No, I Want to Be the Guy. That's
You Want to Be the Guy? I don't know the game.
You oh wow, okay, shit. It's a damn good game and it's absolute shit, but it's a damn good game.
What about Helltaker? Is Helltaker a Kuso game?
No, absolutely not. Helltaker would fit better as a Dojin game. It's creating its own microcanon, not necessarily from something original, but it is a complete and polished product end to end. It's just made by an independent creator.
They called Last of Us 2 a Kuso game.
Yes, they did. They did call Last of Us 2 a Kuso game. Yes, they did. They'd call Forspoken a Kuso game as well.
Forspoken is definitely a Kuso. Forspoken is not even a game. It didn't work on launch, actually.
Fuck! Don't say that shit. You're gonna.
You know, like I know. I'm starting to think that I realize what's happening here. You know, you have Forspoken, and everyone is like, "Wow, this game is the worst," right? And then you have like another company that says we can save Forspoken, All we gotta do is we need $400 million and invest it into Concord.
We
Then
just need
people-
Rings of Power budget to make it work.
Yeah, and then people are going to look at the game and they're going to say, wow, you know what? Like, first Pokemon wasn't that fucking bad.
Like, how much will it cost you to fix this game? 7 Godzilla ones or 2 Dunes? Your choice.
Oh, by the way, speaking of financial distress, apparently they released the budget for, what is it called? The Acolyte.
Yeah. Oh my God, way more than what we our wildest expectations.
No, but like
didn't
my
measure it this
favorite
high.
take was like a journalist on Twitter announced it, and I think I don't know the exact numbers, but it was like something. Oh, all you bigots, you don't know what you're talking about. It wasn't $200 million they burned. It was like $400 million. Like, oh shit! Oh well, I guess we got owned there.
Oh yeah, fucking owned. You sure owned us, buddy. Wow, holy
yeah,
shit.
you showed us. It's like holy shit.
$500 million for what is equivalent of 7.5 hours of video. Holy shit.
I went and I asked Arch, and I'm like, Arch, I'm not a masochist like you are. Like, tell me how bad is the Acolyte? Just like summarize it for me, you know, the TLDR version. Do you know what he does? He shows me the credits.
Yep.
And do you know what's in the credits, Ars?
A very bizarre song.
Yes. Like in a Star Wars franchise, the credits have modern hip-hop music.
Yeah. And this is breaking a tradition. Take a look at every single other production that Star Wars ever had and listen to the end credit song. And then listen to the one for the Acolyte. Where, you know, you want to understand when a ship has left its charted course. There you go.
Yeah, I mean, Star Wars is pretty iconic in the intro outro, right? Like the intro is tan, ta-da-dan, 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 and you get like the Star Wars thing, right?
Yeah,
you get the
you
scrolling
the
text
punk at the start.
You get a scrolling text, and you get a ship that's flying, and then it zooms down to a planet. Every single one is like following the formula. It's iconic, right? Why would you change
it sets it up. It's a perfect setup. You know what you're getting into, but not this time.
It's like the ship flying, right? As soon as the credits roll in, and you got the ship flying, and then it zooms down, and it's a planet. Every single one.
Hey, hang on. Hey, Modiversity. You want to? I don't know if you've taken a look, but look up on YouTube the Acolyte diss track, right? The pro tag, the one that plays both of the twins. She put out an R&B diss track to just to be an extra cherry on top to the fail cake that they've baked, right? Even beyond the R&B bullshit that they put at the end, which didn't fit at all. They put out a diss track that is so goddamn cringe, it's basically going to mint like memes for the next 5 years.
I can't even show it because it's copyright. So
they rabidly go after monetization for anything that even shows 5 seconds of that clip.
Yeah. It's pretty much like trying to subvert their expectations every day a little bit more. You know, like I gotta say, I never expected a hip hop song like modern American.
Yeah.
You know, stuff that if you go in a ghetto, you would hear it booming from loudspeakers.
Oh no,
right?
man! Even the ghetto don't play this shit. But you want to know what my theory is, V? If you want to take a living body and you have a poison, you have a poison like a toxin or something that is not necessarily 100% fatal, right? But you want the body to not react as bad. Like you want the histamine reaction to kind of ease off when you're getting injected or getting exposed to it. You expose it gradually, adverse therapy, right? You give it a little bit, and then a little bit more, and you inject a little bit more. You inject a little bit more, and you hope that the body becomes tolerant. Thankfully, everyone has the right reaction when this shit is getting put into media and shit. Everyone fucking runs for the hills.
To be fair,
nobody's buying this shit.
I think you can cure terminally ill patients with that hip hop music. Like, imagine you go into a hospital and you see this guy.
No, man. No, that hip hop music, that's going to be before in Abu Ghraib and Guantanamo Bay and all of that shit. They used to play like Britney Spears and God knows what for music or like to torture them. No, this is the new. No,
listen.
This
Right?
is enhanced
I want you to
interrogation in the
imagine,
camp.
like you're in a Canadian hospital, right? And there's this patient terminally ill, and, like connected to the machine. It's like, yeah, and they're not even there. If you put that music, you'll be like, turn that shit off, you know?
Yeah, that would be great, man. I think you just found a way to wake people out of comas.
I bet you can wake people up from the pods for Canadian maids. It's like, oh, the procedure was successful, and you put the hip hop music, and they're like just banging on, and like turn it off.
They crack open the will, and it's like, if ever I am put through maid, note that I may have had a mental break and didn't mean it. Oh shit! So they just play the music, and it brings her right back. Yeah. No, but anyway, so all jokes set aside, the goddamn tracks, the goddamn lyrics, everything is just off. Right, yes. It's tone deaf bullshit that it became like it's a fucking vanity project.
Yes.
Look at the Acolyte. Who was it written for? It wasn't written for the audience. Wasn't written for women in the audience either. It was just written. And what about all this extra shit that they added on the side? It's not for the audience.
Yeah, they always say it's like, let's write a story to make it more inclusive, to get women in it. And I'm like, but the women aren't watching it either. And the ideological shit that you get to see in Dragon Age of Consent, it's like, oh, we got chess scars now. And I'm thinking like, okay, if you're a trans person, why would you play as anything else besides the gender you identify? So like, if you're a man identifying as a woman, why wouldn't you just make a beautiful female character and play with that? And if you're a woman identifying as a man,
most people don't want to be reminded of the wounds they had to take in order to fulfill whatever dream that they're trying to fulfill.
I mean, like, I'm sure there's like this cult on TikTok where they glorify surgery scars, which is very bizarre. Yeah. Like even women that get like breast surgery to make like bigger tits, they don't go like, oh, look at the scar, you know? But my point is, imagine if you're making a game, like and I gave this example before, but you weren't there. Imagine if I'm making World of Warcraft for furries, right? Like I want furries to enjoy World of Warcraft, and instead of making the Worgen race, I make a race that looks like humans in fursuits, so furries can identify themselves, so that they can see themselves while playing, right? So instead of making Worgens, like it just looks like humans in fursuits. Isn't it mental? Isn't it like fucking mental? Like it makes absolutely no logical sense.
I don't know, man. I can't think on that wavelength. I don't understand it.
Oh, listen to this. Motocross Cooper, thank you for the $5. I think the hip-hop song in the credits is the diss track song made by the author.
Yeah, I know the diss track medleys into it, but I thought there was a separate song just for the credits as well. But I could be wrong there, Motocross.
Oh my god, like if that's the case, holy shit. As you're saying, it's like these people, they're giving the reins, they're giving the keys. Yeah, it's kind of like...
complete vanity project. They chiseled the man-chin onto the beautiful statue instead of just letting it be, man.
Imagine, right, like if some rich person gives you the keys to his house while they're on vacation and they're like asking you to take care of their garden and feed their pets, and you're pretending that it's actually your mansion, and you start moving furniture around, and you're inviting your bodies in, and you're acting as if you own the place.
Yeah, you repaint it and you turn it into a trap house.
Yeah, and you want everyone to call you by the name, like by the family name of that rich person, you know? It's so fucking weird. Yeah, this is another thing that people in the chat are saying. It's a fantasy game. Yeah, like in Dragon Age of Consent, the chess cards make no sense because it means that they must have like modern medicine. They must have the chemist that made the anesthetic. Anesthetic. They need to have anesthesiologists, the physicians to make the MRI machines.
Yeah, you talk about super pro skill on the alchemist that's going to be able to synthesize like human hormone or elf hormone or quinari hormone out of God knows plants, right? Like, what are they going to do? Grind some clay, set it on fire, put in a little bit of grass?
Yeah, no, like to me, the reason this is like there's the thing between suspension and disbelief and absurdity, right? To me, what this says is that they're more concerned with the ideology than the theme of the game, because I can see this in Cyberpunk.
Yeah,
right?
That's a good fucking point.
I can see it in Cyberpunk. I can see it in The Sims. They were very proud about The Sims when they did this shit. But like, I can't see it in Dragon Age at all. I can't see it in a fantasy game that's medieval setting. And the only reason is like their ideology is more important than the actual immersion that people have in that game.
Yeah, the surgery itself, whatever. Okay, we'll set that shit aside. Sure, it can fit inside a world where worlds have these kinds of procedures, but to like artificially shoehorn this square peg in a round hole in order, like under the guise, and that's the thing that bothers me, right? The fact that the surgery scars are in is not the part that bothers me. I mean, it's weird enough as it is.
Yeah, it's weird, but like you cover it up. You're never going to see the character anyway, because like how many times do you play with your character naked, right?
Yeah, what is this actually accomplishing? Nothing. Right? Who is being pandered to that is so snowflake sensitive that this is going to make or break their self
No, but
visualization.
I know there's no market for it because no one makes mods like that, right? Like you can tell if there's a market if there's mods, and you have mods that either make it like comically funny. It's like the chick from Resident Evil, like she's morbidly obese. They made a mod for that for Ashley.
Hey,
or they make mods where the chick is sexy.
Yes. Well, you know what? Hey, that's a good fucking segue, V. Let's talk about mods for a second and how we're literally seeing Nexus right now in the process of allowing characters to be transferred from white to black. But the moment that, say, someone puts in a transition of a mod that goes from black to white, or say even if they replace one flag with another of a different ideology, suddenly certain ones of these changes. I will let you guess which ones are getting banned and which ones are not.
Like Nexus is insanely ideological. There was a very disrespectful thing that.
That's what happens when you have a monopoly on the fucking market. You think you can own it.
Well, let's look at Tomb Raider remake, right? They remade Tomb Raider and they added like this disclaimer in the beginning saying that this game has bad depictions and themes of racism and blah 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 blah. So basically the implication is that the people that created the game, you know, the developers that made our childhood great by making a game that went around the world, like everyone around the world, wherever you go, people know what Tomb Raider is. You're basically saying that they're pieces of shit because they were racist, they were assholes, right? Like, this is what you're implying. I like you. I like the developers that made the remake. The developers that made the remake, that they're good, decent people, good, decent folk, right? So the community got annoyed, and they deleted that message. Like, there is a mod which allows you to remove that message, that splash screen. Nexus mods banned it. Like, fuck off. You know, and this is after, like, weeks of like, but why do you care? Why do you care? Why does it affect you? Why does it matter you? And no one asks the people at Nexus Mods why they care. Not a single person asks them why they care.
Yeah.
Jake Martin.
I don't understand. It's like, why do, and we should turn it back on them. Why do they care?
Yeah.
Right? All we wanted to do is remove X in order to change our experience. It's not up to them to decide what X we're allowed to change or not. We already have Konami trying to tell us what the fuck to do with mods and what not to do. You can go suck a dick with that. So what right do they have to tell us what we can and cannot mod?
Well, the right that they can, right?
Yeah, well, man in the middle, man.
Yeah,
that's what
the man
happened.
in the middle, yeah. Jake Martin, thank you for $5. Why just add vitiligo? How about bird trauma and people with psoriasis or any other skin problem? I just want some consistency with my work nonsense. Here's the thing.
Why are they stopping? I mean, they already put in the engine to represent other ones. Are the other ones not worth enough to represent? Maybe they didn't pay the membership fee.
They never talk with the people with vitiligo because when you work at a hospital, you meet people with vitiligo. And they know it's aesthetically unpleasing. Like, they're aware, right? Because it doesn't have symmetry. It's an objective standard of beauty. So, like,
most people don't feel the need to flaunt the things that make them uncomfortable.
Yeah, like they will try to hide it by wearing certain types of clothing, or they're wearing different types of makeup. It's like something, you know, like if you have a pimple on your forehead, it's there, it's yours, but you know it's an aesthetic, right? You wouldn't want to play a video game where people have the same pimple. It's just so fucking weird. It's like a constant reminder. And the reason they do it is because they have these seminars where, like, all the consultants meet. Like, there's not that many consultancy companies that are pushing for this shit. And they're just deciding, like, unilaterally, okay, like, vitiligo is it. And that's why you see it in so many games that are supposed to be from competing companies. All of a sudden, they just pop out, right? Because, like, they have the same consultants.
Because it's in the bottom line of one of these SBI-like companies, and SBI, Sweet Baby Incorporated. But remember, they're not the only ones that do this weird selling of an ideology thing in the thin veil of a corporate fucking, like, gossamer. But there are more than one companies that do this, and there's a very good chance that these companies share portfolios between them, right? There's a unified message in the background. It's obvious seeing the last 5 years that there's somewhere in the background, there's some fart in the fucking wind that's causing all of these ships to try to steer the wrong way. It's about, you know, killing those companies first.
Crafter wants to know, what is this bratty attitude trying to piss off everyone? It's like some global communism trying to destroy what we enjoy. See, like, this is a question that I used to have. It's like, yeah, you managed to land a position at a company and you're very well paid. right? Like you don't have to work that much. All you gotta do is send a couple of emails, and that's it. Like you don't have to crunch. It's not a stressful job.
Yeah,
Why can't they
cushy
just sit
corporate,
down and
sit on
shut
your
the fuck
ass.
up?
You don't even need to wear work gloves. You're never gonna get a
Yes.
callus. Oh
Yes.
no, you might get carpal tunnel. Oh shit.
Yes. So like the question is like why can't they just shut the fuck up and do their job? And the answer is that I think they realize deep inside that they're not very skilled. So like they're lashing out. It's like what the little boss used to do in communism. So or if you didn't know the Soviet system, imagine a factory.
I've heard a lot about the Soviet system.
Right.
Yeah.
Imagine a factory, right? And you have like all the people working there, and they've been working there for like 10, 20 years. They know the insides out of the factory. But now
That's right.
they hire the boss's son based on nepotism. And the boss's son is this incompetent chucklehead, doesn't know anything. The other workers start making fun of him, right? Because like he's supposed to be their boss, but he doesn't even know the basics of the machinery.
Yeah, the guy, he's the kind of guy that gets his sleeves snug into the machine every time.
Yeah. So what happens is that the little boss gets resentment. He starts hating everyone. He starts wanting to get people fired. Doesn't matter if those people are the best in the factory. They made fun of him, so now they have to go.
Yep.
And this is literally
the
what
boss can't take it on the chin. Yeah.
Yeah, this is what I'm seeing with the woke ideology. It's like you're hiring people not based on their skill or their merit. You're hiring them based on nepotism. And
after about like 7-ish years of doing like just straight up in your face corporate HR bullshit, I'll say this much. There is one universal truth. People with no actual problems in their lives will go out of their way to create problems in their lives.
I agree with
Even
that.
if they're
I
imagined,
think
they will
this is
make
a
up.
normal phenomenon, man. Like I noticed when I was in law school, like this actually shocked me. Usually families that were getting divorces and shit weren't families that were at the edge of poverty, that had 4 kids and couldn't afford
No, they were
them.
the super rich ones that just basically
It was-
nothing. They had nothing wrong going on.
Yes.
They found ways to fuck up themselves.
I think like maybe the human brain is like when it's not concerned with random shit, it's like how do I feed myself? How do I clothe myself?
Self-sabotage.
It's basically going like, all right, let's bring up the trauma. Let's start delving deep into the traumatic shit that we experienced as a child or whatever. And this is what's happening. Like when a lot of people suffering from depression aren't people that are, with actual serious problems. Like, oh, I'm going to get homeless in a couple of months, or right? It's people that are rich usually, and they have a nice life.
All right. Well, I've got to go shortly, V. But if you don't mind, I'll add my point of view onto this because I think it might shed a little light onto all of this complete fucking bullshit that we're seeing. Right. In the past, right, your fathers, your grandfathers, and all that, they had trauma. They had events, a unifying thing in the background. Right. We had a large enemy, World War I, World War II, the Korean War, the Vietnam War, depending where you are in the world. I mean, I'm repeating those because that's what shaped North America. Different places in the world will have their own hard events. Now, for most of us in like North America and Europe and all that, we don't have a lot of hard events, right? In the last 20 years, we've had it pretty goddamn cushy. I'd say the last 40 years, we've had it overall pretty goddamn cushy for the most part. Now, these people, right? People like to gravitate towards groups, ideologies, ways of thinking, right? And if they've never had to struggle, they've never had to actually work, they've never had to endure and sit there and like have a bad day and digest the bad day and then have, and find a way to have a good day the day after. Most of these people, right, that are causing these issues are people that have not actually struggled in their lives or who inflate their previous struggles in order to give themselves something that they feel they're fighting for. All of this weird ideology shit just stinks of people who don't actually have struggles in their lives, imagining all of these microaggressions around them that are not actually affecting their lives.
No, absolutely.
Right?
You got 2 more minutes, so I'll answer to this. I said this in the beginning of my channel when you had the social justice warriors. And I was saying that they probably grew up looking at their parents with the Vietnam struggle and how they had the police sicking the dogs on them and then spraying them with water hoses. And they view that as heroic, the civil rights struggle. It's like, oh, look at all these people, they accomplished
Yeah,
something.
but you were fighting to better your standing for you and your fellows
they're
around you. You
living
had
in
a
a
community
time-
based around that shit.
Yeah, and they're living in a time when everything is good. And there's nothing to fight for. There's nothing, right? Like, everything is fine the way it is. So, like, what are they going to do? And they need to, like, they generally covet. They want the police to sick the dogs on them. They want the air cannon. And I was, like, looking at the Kavanaugh shit, right? Like, you had students banging at the door like fucking zombies wanting to go into the hearings. And they got arrested. And I'm thinking, like, imagine if you're the parent that's getting money so that you can put your kid at university, and then you find out that they're having a criminal record because they were banging at the door like zombies to get into the Kavanaugh hearing.
Actually, you know what? I'll take it even a step further. Imagine how many of those kids are actually likely doing less than stellar in school. What if they actually took that time to, better themselves instead of banging on the door with a bunch of other people pretending like that's actually going to change shit? If they want to change their lot in life, they have to start at the bottom of their own 2 feet, right? Because if they don't work at themselves,
clean up their room, as Jordan Pearson likes.
Yeah, I mean, DeSantis and Kavanaugh and all of that shit certainly aren't going to hand it out to them. So, like,
yeah. Anyway, thank you for being here. Hopefully we can get again together next week. Chat, I'll see if I can start like half an hour earlier or something like that.
That would be good.
Yeah. One more super chat. V, the perceived microaggressions may or may not be real, but the one who takes issue might be legitimate, but yes, it might not.
Grafter has a good point there. Like, there are certainly situations where they're actually being aggressed, but we've all seen the song and dance. We've been through this for enough years to know that most of this shit is imagined, right?
Yeah.
They take the slightest little thing out of context or one little comment that they might not like, and they blow it completely out of proportion. This is where the whole cancer cancel culture all started in the first place.
But anyway, thank you, Ors. Was nice. I'll stay with the chat for a little bit more. And
Hey, yeah.
Yeah, I'll talk to you on Discord.
Hey, thank you, V. Thank you, chat. See you next time.
Right, so, like, the thing with the microaggressions, from what I noticed, and I was looking at this for so long because it's, like, the most ridiculous stuff ever. I always said it's like, oh, well, if I did a microaggression, then I guess I need to give you a micro apology, right? Because I don't want the micro police to put me in the micro prison. But all jokes aside, no, like, this was used as a tool of hatred, right? Like if you want to start beef with someone, the microaggressions were for you. And I talked with social justice activists who went on liberal campuses and actually were a part of the culture. And what they told me is that this is exactly what they did. It's like, okay, so if a friend of theirs, if someone else that's into social justice would have done a microaggression to them, they wouldn't get upset. Like, they would say, oh, no worry, You have, like, a trans person and someone misgenders them. If it's a leftist, they would be like, oh, that's fine, don't worry about it. Just, it's okay. But if it was, like, a right-winger, oh, they would freak out. They would pretend like it's the worst thing imaginable, and they would want that person to be kicked off the campus. And it's like, how dare they? Look how much aggression, and they're so tired. They're very tired from all these people doing bad things to them. V, we will get and thumbs up in your game. No. But anyway, right, so the whole thing with microaggressions is that, imagine you're a normal person, and this actually happened a lot of time in a lot of videos, right? And you just do, like, something normally, like maybe you like dreads, right? Like, you like listening to hip-hop, you see all these famous actors, like, having dreads, and you're like, okay, I'm going to make some dreads. And you go to university and you find out that actually you're a cog in the machine of hatred. This is why America is a bad place, because people like you. And you get, like, a couple of university students just cornering you and screaming at you and shouting at you. Now, assuming you don't know anything about politics, and back then most people didn't, like, what are you going to do? Well, you're going to start looking into woke culture. You're going to start reading. You're going to, like, make sure that you don't do anything else that's upsetting. And that was the whole fucking point. It was to persuade people to look into the ideology, to start learning the ideology. And it was also to allow activists to bully and harass others, because bullying and harassment, according to them, was fun. And I spoke with people that were into social justice, and they told me, yeah, it's fun to harass someone. It's fun to scream at someone in a group. And that's why they were doing it. So it looks, like, really weird from the outside that it doesn't make sense, but, like, as a cultural social thing, it does make sense. If you don't like my game, please buy 5 copies and burn them in the effigy. Oof. Do you know that Japanese people actually like an independent creator, whether it's a manga or it's a video game or whatever, they would actually buy more than one copy in order to support. When I suggested that social justice people do the same, they laughed at me. They thought that I'm mocking them, but no. It's like, if you like Concord so much, because there were a lot of people defending Concord, and I said, look, if you like Concord so much, why don't you buy 10 copies of it? And they thought that I'm taking the piss, but like, no, this is what people would actually do. If I was to absolutely enjoy an independent game, like for instance, I like Stellar Blade, right? So you buy the deluxe edition. It's how you tip. Very rarely, I think like Stellar Blade was the only game that I did that. But like very rarely do I like a game so much that I feel like buying the deluxe edition. Now, if I was even more wealthy, or if it's like an indie game that costs like $5 or $10, then yeah, you can buy 5 copies. To support the dev, it's giving them a tip. Anyway, see you guys in the comments section, and have a nice weekend. Take care.